Hey makeup friends, today I'm going to be sharing with you my first impressions of the Claudette collection from NARS. He made this in honor of his mother Claudette, and I just think that's so special. The packaging on this is top notch. We are going to get into it right after this jaunty Christmas music. Alright, so this was an easy purchase for me. Full disclosure, I have not stuck to my beauty budget this month. I have failed on my very first month. But when I saw the pictures of this collection, there was not a thought process. It was just instantly add to cart. The packaging just spoke to me. I think it's so beautiful. So why don't I just stop blabbing about it and show it to you. So this one here is the Blush Duo. And I'm just going to bring the information up on the Sephora website so that I can share this with you. So this retails for $59 Canadian. It has two shades inside of it. So there they are there. Now normally I'm not a big fan of the split pan, but when I saw the swatches of this online, I just thought it looked so pretty. You've got the more pinky shade and then the more tan kind of shade over here. And so what it says in here is that it's a limited edition duo of sophisticated matte blush shades for a natural looking rush of color. And that sounds like it's right up my alley, and I think that these shades are going to be flattering on the skin just looking at them in the pan. I do enjoy a matte blush. Frankly, I enjoy all the blushes. It doesn't matter to me if it has a sheen to it or not, but more often than not I will gravitate towards a matte blush, and these tones look beautiful. These more bronzy shades often look like they're not going to be super flattering in the pan, and then once applied they're just this beautiful natural looking flush to the skin. So that's what I'm hoping is going to happen here, but this is a first impressions. These were just delivered about an hour ago to my house, so I haven't even finger swatched them. I wanted to do all of that on camera, and I will check in later on, maybe at the end of January, and give you an update on my thoughts on these, but for right now this is just a first impressions. I will say, in here you're getting 22 grams of product, so while it does have a hefty price tag, you are getting a ton of product for that. So I'm really excited to play around with this, and the packaging is just, it's so pretty. One thing that I really like about this collection as well is that the packaging has the same theme to it, but there are variations from product to product. So for example, with the eyeshadow palette, you still have the red on black with the gold lettering, but instead of the butterflies, now you're getting hearts. I'll bring it up a little bit closer so that you can see it better. This retails for $62 Canadian, and it has 6 shades in it. It says that it is a limited edition eyeshadow palette featuring 6 warm, neutral shades in matte, satin, and shimmer finishes. I suppose this would be a good enough time for me to say that NARS is no longer cruelty-free, so if that is something that you look for when purchasing your makeup, unfortunately this one is not going to fit the bill for you. According to the Sephora website, it is free of a lot of things, so it's free of parabens, formaldehydes, formaldehyde-releasing agents, phthalates, mineral oil, retinol palmitate, oxybenzone, coal tar, I would hope so, hydroquinone, oh my gosh, and a bunch of other things that I don't know how to pronounce. And it says that it contains less than 1% fragrance. It's also gluten-free. Why they didn't include that in the list of 700 other things that it doesn't have, I don't know, but here we are. But with all that attention, I do think it was a step backwards for them to revert their cruelty-free status. Regardless, here we are. So there are the shades in here. So these ones here, the darker ones, are all matte. And then this one's more like a satin finish, and then these two are a lot more foiled. I am going to do swatches, but I just want to talk about the lipstick first, and then we will get into that. The collection also includes 6 lipsticks. There are 3 satin finishes and 3 sheer matte finishes. I only picked up one of the lipstick because they retail for $43 Canadian. 43 times 6 is more than I'm willing to spend, but this is the shade that I picked up here. It is called Mathilde, and it is described as a rosy beige. The packaging on these lipsticks is beautiful, and again you're seeing variation. So this time it's the butterflies, but it is black on red, again with that gold lettering. And then some of them have hearts, some of them have stars, Some of them have black with red on them. Like there's a little bit of variation between them, which I think is really nice. And then you don't just end up, if you do buy all 6, you don't have 6 that are exactly the same, because with a collection like this, the outer packaging really does add to the whole aesthetic of the products. So I'm really happy with this one. All right, now that we have got the basics out of the way, let's move on to swatches, and then I'm going to put these on my face. All right, so we're going to start left to right. So the first set of swatches is from the blush duo, and the one on the far left is in the shade Croisette, and that is described as a bright peach matte. And the one to the right is Nanochka, which is a toasted amber matte. All right, I'm going to do my best with these shade names. They are all in French, and I am not a French speaker. So left to right, we have Envie, which is a shimmering taupe, Joie, a shimmering champagne, Rue de Tournon, shimmering bronze, L'Éphémère, matte rust, Nostalgie, a matte cinnamon brown, and Libération, deep matte brown. God, I hope I did French justice with that. And then the last swatch there is of the lipstick in the shade Mathilde, and it is described as a rose beige. And now it's time to play with these products. Always the best part. So I'm going to start off with the blush duo, and I have my Rephr 05 brush here, and I'm going to go into this pinkier shade, and I'm going to apply that over here. I have tried some of the NARS blushes before, and I really do like the formula of them. I find that they blend really nicely and they do build up on the skin. The lights, I think, are washing it out just a little bit. I can see it more strongly in my mirror than I can on the lights or on the viewfinder. So I'm just going to build it up a little bit more so that it translates a little bit better. There we go. I think it's so pretty. Like, it does just add a nice flush to the skin, but it's not like an artificial looking pink, if that makes sense. Like, this is sort of what my skin flushes to, or like if I've been outside in the cold and then I come in, this is what my cheeks kind of look like. So I think that's really pretty. I'm going to use the same brush. I'm not going to bother like cleaning it or anything because there's really not that much product on there. But on the other cheek, I'm going to go in with the more bronzy shade, and then I'll even them out at the end. But I just kind of want to see what they look like on their own. I will say, I mean, this is a fairly large brush, and it fits on the 1/2 of the pan no problem. So I'm not like having to really like maneuver it around because the pan is so big. I think both of these shades are beautiful. Like, this is more of like a deeper almost rose kind of tone. Like a bronzy rose. I don't know how to describe it, but I think it's so nice. And then this one is definitely more pink toned. Obviously, it's more pink in the pan. I'm not surprised by that, but I think they're both really flattering on the skin. Oh, I'm pleased with that. I'm so happy with that. So now I'm going to try to even them up a little bit. I'm going to go in with the pink on this side and just add that on top. And then just add a little bit of the more bronzy tone over here. It's ultimately going to be a strong blush day, but that's okay. I've got nowhere to go now. Just bring a little bit on my nose just to even out the face. Okay, I think that's about as even as I'm going to get it. I think that's so pretty. Oh, I'm so happy with that. Okay, we've got one winner out of 3 so far. Now I do have just a tiny bit of highlight peeking through. I used one of the Charlotte Tilbury Beauty light ones. I used Pillow Talk, but I'm going to kick it up a little bit with a highlighter from NARS It's obviously not part of this collection, but this one's in the shade Capri. Figured I may as well stick with the theme of NARS. And this one has just like a hint of a pink sheen to it. Kind of reminds me of like the inside of a pearl, if that makes sense, or the inside of an oyster shell. That's more what I mean. There. And there we go. That's such a pretty highlighter as well. I typically don't get super excited about NARS products, but then I use them and I'm like, oh yeah, I really like you. I don't know. I can't explain my actions. But this collection, honestly, as soon as I saw that picture, I was like, must have, done, done. There was no trying to talk myself out of it. There was no rationalization. I was just like, I need that. And here we are. Okay, the only thing I will say about this palette is that it's really difficult to open. I wish that there was just like a little bit more of a groove where the lid meets the base, because I'm having a really hard time, and I'm also wearing artificial like glue-on nails, so I'm afraid that I'm gonna break one of those right off. There we go. So before we dive into the eyeshadow palette though, I am going to prime my eyes, and I have like a little sample here of the NARS Smudge Proof eyeshadow base. So again, in keeping with the theme, I figured I would use this one. It's not my favorite eye primer simply because I prefer eye primers that mask the discoloration, but aside from that, like, it blends out nicely and shadows do apply really well on top of it. So if you're not so concerned about having a primer with a bit of a pigment to it, this might be a good option for you. Hi. Okay, so looking at this, I do kind of wish that one of these two shades was a little bit lighter than what it is. But I'm going to go in with a fluffy brush. I'm going to pick up this more warmer toned shade here, and I'm going to apply that one into the crease. Do we care about the names? Oh God, I hope we don't care about the names because they're all in French. I'm just going to point, and I'm going to hope that that's okay with you. But I'm going to go in with a fluffier brush, and I'm just going to pick up a little bit of this product. You can always build it up if it's not intense enough, but I don't want it to be like way too harsh and then I can't do anything about it. So I'm hoping that in the actual application of it, that it will be buildable so that the deepness of the tone in the pan is really not that much of an issue. The brush that I'm using is from BK Beauty, and this is the 201 brush. That's actually not bad at all. Just picked up a little bit of product. If you hear background noise, I am at home, my husband, my kids are here, and all three of them are the loudest humans on the face of this earth. Well, that is blending out so nicely. I haven't had to pick up any additional product, and yet there's no patchiness to it. I really like the tone of it, like I like the warmth that it gives. That's really pretty. I normally in here have like a really difficult time blending products. Just for whatever reason, that section of my eye is like, I don't want to wear eyeshadow, but I'm not seeing the little lines that I normally see. So this is blending really nicely. I'm happy with that. All right. The next shade I'm going to use is this deepest one here, and I'm going to pick it up on a MAC 221 brush. I'm going to run that under the lower lash line, and I'm going to bring that up into the outer V of my upper lids as well. I have the hardest time looking in the mirror as I do my lower lash line. Like, inevitably when I do, I end up stabbing myself. That's why I'm always like looking up and around, just to get out of my own way. Again though, this is blending out really nicely. You can see just how pigmented it is, but it's not a stiff shadow to work with, like it's not being stubborn for blending out. It already looks soft under the eyes, which I really appreciate. I am finding as I get older that winged liner and I are starting not to get along very well. Just the way that my lid hangs on both sides. This one's a little bit more forgiving than this one. This one's a little bit more hooded anyways. So to sort of create the same illusion, I like to use shadow for it and just kind of extend that lower lash line lid. What? I don't know what I'm saying, but just continue this line up a little bit more so that it mimics where winged liner would go. Excuse me, but it is definitely a softer way of doing it and more forgiving on my eye shape. And I find that creating that kind of shape as well just helps to sort of elongate my eyes. This shadow is also blending in really nicely with that initial one that I put down, so they're not competing with each other. I am really happy with this palette so far. I mean, we're only 2 shades in, but initial application is going very well. Alright, so now I'm going to work on my crease, and I'm going to use this middle shade here to do that. The brush that I'm using is from Sigma. This is the E33 Detail Diffused Crease Brush. I really like this one because I do have hooded eyes, and I find that it just gets into that crease area so nicely without blending it too far up. I like this one. So I haven't picked up a ton of product because I don't really want my crease to be super dark, but I just kind of want to blend where the transition shade and that deeper crease shade or that outer V shade are, and just deepen things up just a little bit. It just helps to give like that illusion of like a seamless blend kind of deal. What I will say is I really like that all 3 of these shades, although they are definitely different one from the next, they have that same like reddish kind of undertone, even this really dark brown. And so it just gels really nicely, like everything does look super blended because those undertones are the same all throughout. And again, that helps with blending them together because they're not creating some weird hybrid mix of shades on the eyes. It's just really cohesive. I'm going to use what's left over on the brush and use it to help buff out the lower lash area. Oh my goodness, I hope you can't hear my stomach gurgling. I'm drinking iced coffee, and for whatever reason, anytime I do that, my stomach just like sings to the heavens. Before I move on to the lids, I'm just going to take a clean brush. This one's from Bristles, and it is the E02 brush, and I'm going to use that just to do some additional blending, just right up in this area here. Again, I just want everything to look as seamless as possible. All right, and now it is time to play with these more foiled shadows. So I'm going to start off with this more gold tone one over here, and I'm going to pick that up on this flat shader brush. This is from Delium Tools, and it is the 773 Shading Blender. So I'm just going to pick that one up, and I'm going to put it on basically the outer half of my lid. And I'm not going to set it with or spray it with setting spray at this point. I just want to see how it does on its own. Oh wow. It's doing pretty well on its own, I must say. Oh, that's pretty. That is so pretty. I really like the tone of this gold as well. As well, you can definitely tell that it's gold. It's not like a harsh gold. You know what I mean? Sometimes golds can be a little harsh. I find silvers can be really harsh as well. but this one has a nice amount of warmth to it. Overall, I just think that the tones in this palette, I mean, granted we have 2 more shades to play with, but the first 4, they play so nicely together. This is just such a cohesive little palette. Oh, I like that. All right, for giggles though, on the other side, I am going to spray it with a little bit of Fix Plus. And just see what the difference is here. You know what, honestly, there's not much of a difference. This one is a little bit more intense, but not, like, it doesn't make a dramatic difference. It speaks to how nicely it applies without the setting spray. In fact, I thought I was going to have to like even it out, but nope. I don't. I think it's beautiful even without the setting spray. All right, so then let's move on to the more champagne metallic shade over here. And I'm going to pick it up on a smaller flat brush. This one is also from Bristles Beauty, and this is the P06 brush. I'm going to put that on this inner portion here and just blend it in where the gold is. It's actually a little bit deeper than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be more like a white gold, but it has a little bit more depth to it than what I expected. It's still super pretty. I just, from looking at it in the pan, I thought it was going to be a bit lighter in tone. But I'm not mad at it. And again, it's applying really nicely without having to wet my brush. I don't mind wetting my brush, but I really do like when the shadows don't need the assistance of it. It just speaks to the overall quality of the shadows. Okay, the last shade then is going to be this more satin tone right in the middle. And I am going to pick that up with the Rephr 03 brush, just a really fine pencil brush here. And I'm going to apply that into the inner corner. And that one is a little bit more subtle. This one I might try boosting this one with a little bit of setting spray. Just because I do like my inner corner to be quite bright, because it's so deep set that it can use all the reflection it can take. I mean, looking in the viewfinder, catching it from this angle, it's really not bad at all, but I'm used to a little bit more bling bling in that area, to use a very technical term. But before I wet my brush, I am just going to run this under my brow bone, because this is like the perfect intensity for a brow bone highlighter, in my opinion. What difference it makes, if any. Oh yeah. It really does help to boost it up. See the difference there? All right, I am going to do mascara and liner off camera, and then we'll come back and apply the lipstick. All right, and there is the completed eye look. I'm so happy with this palette. I think it just looks so beautiful on the eyes. Really doesn't take a ton of effort, and it looks so pretty. And now it's time to play with the lipstick, so let's back it up. There we go. Again, it's in the shade Mathilde, and this is described as a sheer matte. It smells kind of like a MAC lipstick, not quite as intense though, but it has almost like a velvety kind of appearance on the bullet as well. All right, I'm looking forward to playing with this. Let's see. All right, and there it is. I have to say, I love the finish on it. Like it's matte, but it's one of those like soft, almost blurred looking mattes. I think it's like a gentle, more approachable version of matte, and it's very comfortable on the lips. Applying it, there's no pulling across the lips at all. This is not a dry formula whatsoever. It feels very much like I have a lip balm on, to be honest. Not quite as emollient as that, but like a satin lipstick is how it feels. It's really, really pretty lipstick. Alright guys, those are my first impressions of the new Claudette collection from NARS. His mother would be proud. These products are beautiful, and they're all in these like timeless classic shades that are going to be flattering on so many people. I am so glad that I picked this collection up. I'm thrilled with all of the products. I was thinking, am I going to be able to rank them? And no, I can't. I don't know which product I like the most. I think they work so well in harmony with each other. The blush, the eyeshadow, this lipstick shade in particular. I'm just thrilled with this collection. The fact that the packaging is beautiful is just icing on the cake, but it's the shades and the undertones of them and how nicely they apply. I cannot wait to keep playing with this. I will update you guys, like I said, probably in about a month's time with how I'm continuing to feel about it, if I'm noticing any struggles with it, how the wear time is. Obviously this is a first impression, so this lipstick could end up pilling on my lips, or the shimmer shadows could disappear in a couple of hours' time. I will provide an update towards the end of January, but upon first application, first impressions is that this collection knocks it out of the park. I am so pleased with it. I know I'm repeating myself, so I am going to wrap it up here. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch, and I will see you in my next video. Until then, just be a decent human being. Bye for now.